Hi everyone, my name is Gabriela Alvarez and I'm a Girl Scout working on my Girl Scout Gold Award project. My project is focused on helping people create backyards habitats for birds here in the RGV to fight against deforestation and habitat loss. Today, I am so excited to be at Wild Birds Unlimited in McAllen, Texas. The owner has donated birdseed to help support my project and educate the community. We're going to ask a few questions to learn more about how we can all help protect local birds and create bird-friendly spaces in our backyard. Can you tell us a little bit about Wild Birds Unlimited and what inspired you to open this store?
Yeah, so Wild Birds Unlimited is a national franchise. We're locally owned. There's over 300 stores across the United States and Canada, and we focus on, we're a specialty retail store focusing on backyard bird feeding, high quality bird food, community outreach, and native gardening. I was in the medical field for a little over 20 years, and I was looking for a career change. I wanted to follow my passion. I've always been very passionate about nature and wildlife. I grew up on a ranch. I had already been a birder before. I was already feeding birds before in my backyard. So when I discovered Wild Birds Unlimited, I knew it was the right fit for me, and I knew it was a good fit for the valley. We needed something like this here.
Why do you think the RGV is such a special place for birds?
It's a great question. So the valley forms a bottleneck for birds. So we're a major flyway zone. There's two migratory corridors, one that goes like right through the center and one along the coast. And because of that, all the birds kind of funnel right through here. And that's why we get all of these amazing birds that people come from all over the country, the world, pay to see, like our beautiful green jay that we get right here in our backyard.
What are some of the best ways families can attract birds to their backyard?
Adding a water feature, that's a really easy way. Like you don't even have to have a feeder. You just had a little planter, a saucer, something like that. So water is critical. Food, birds get about 20%, they supplement about 20% of their food from bird seed, the food that we give them. So any type of feeder, whether that's loose seed, compressed seed, suet, adding a feeder of some sort. And then also native gardening is super important as well. So some of our native plants like ebony trees, lantanas, Mexican petunia, salvia, all of those plants are going to help the birds even more.
What types of bird seed or feeders are best for our local birds?
We pretty much, there's several different options. We always tell people if you're just starting out, you've never done, the backyard bird feeding before, I would always start with some type of seed product. This is kind of like a basic one that you would start off with in your yard. And you can do what's really cool here at Wild Birds Unlimited. These are unique to us. We have this compressed seed. So it's tightly compressed loose seed, and it's almost like a cartridge refill. It's super convenient. You could just pop it on any one of our cylinder feeders. It lasts a lot longer than loose seed, and you're going to get longer views of the birds because it takes them a while to get to the seed. So this is a really nice one. I always recommend loose seed, like in one of our tray feeders. I can show you that in a little bit, or a hopper feeder. Those are always the ones I usually recommend starting out with. And then you can always add on to that later. You could always add on peanuts or suet or other types of food. But just starting out, I would definitely recommend some type of seed feeder.
What made you interested in supporting my Girl Scout project?
Well, I was a Girl Scout, so I was a brownie first, and then I was a Girl Scout. I didn't have all of the accomplishments that you all have, but I loved it growing up. I just remember going to camp, and it was so fun, and I loved all of that, and I loved, empowering girls to learn more about science and nature, and so I knew it wasn't even a question for me. I knew I wanted to do it. So.
What advice would you give to kids or families who want to make a difference for birds in nature?
Again, it's probably going to go back to the protecting our native habitat. You know, right now it's estimated that we have less than 5% of the native habitat left in the entire valley. So it's critical. Adding those spaces, even if it's in your backyard, is critical for our birds, because they see that when they're flying, they'll see your yard and they'll stop there. It has the beneficial plants, you know, the shrubs, the trees, the seed, the water, and they'll remember. So next year, maybe when they're on their migration path again, they'll stop in your yard. And so it's, if we can have more of these throughout the valley, that's going to help our birds thrive.
Do you have any tips for someone just starting out with bird watching or backyard birding?
Tips, so like we mentioned, like the water is critical, and water, also moving water, because birds can hear the water and that will attract them even more. So anytime you can add water, whatever type of bird bath, fountain, dish, that's always going to be great. I highly recommend getting a pair of binoculars. That's really going to enhance the experience of bird watching, because you really get those close-up views of the birds and you can really appreciate their beauty. Then you start getting into identifying them and all the different types of warblers and all the different types of wrens. So that's really cool. So I always recommend, if you can, and there's so many different styles of binoculars now. We sell a couple, but that I would definitely recommend. You can add binoculars.
How can people learn more about Wild Birds Unlimited and support your store?
So there's a couple of ways. We have a Facebook and Instagram page. So Wild Birds Unlimited, make sure you put of McAllen, because there's a bunch of them throughout the country. Our Facebook page, that's where we post all of our free in-store nature events that we have. We have one coming up this Saturday, all about native bees, and that's free to the public. We set up the back of the store with chairs, the presenters in the back. We have refreshments. It's from 2 to 3 p.m. That's this Saturday. And then we have another one the following weekend that's all about parrots that you can find here in the valley. So we host those periodically, usually about 1 to 2 a month. We have another one coming up in August. So if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram, that's where you can stay up to date on all of that. And then support, we are locally owned, so when you buy seed from us, you know you're buying fresh seed. We get it weekly. It's not going to have any filler. A lot of what you buy from big box stores, it's less expensive, but there's a lot of what I call junk food in there, wheat, Milo, things the birds are just kicking out. It ends up on the ground. They're not eating it. Versus our food, everything in the cylinder and the loose seed, they're going to eat except the shell. And it's not going to be dusty or moldy or have bugs or anything like that in it. So giving them high quality bird food, the birds, is also going to be beneficial and helping, and that'll help support us as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Wild Birds Unlimited for supporting my Girl Scout Gold Award project and helping protect the birds of the RGV. Your donation and support means so much, not just to me, but to our whole community. If you want to start your own backyard bird habitat or learn more, make sure to visit Wild Birds Unlimited right here on North 10th in McAllen. Let's all do our part to protect birds and create spaces where they can thrive. Thank you so much for watching.